Didn't get a good chance.
Episode 9, boys. Since there's no sports, and the closest thing to sports right now is in Vegas betting on iRacing, we decided in the last episode that the next best thing, and the thing that's extremely popular right now in all of America, Tiger King. So I'm gonna let my wife Allie here do the introduction.
Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. Can't wear this any longer. But yeah, I'm Carol.
So if just before we get started, if you have not watched Tiger King, all of us are extremely disappointed in you. But there will be spoilers in this. So go watch Tiger King and then come back and watch this. So basically, Tiger King's about a guy who owns a zoo, a roadside zoo in Oklahoma. Joe, I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name, but he then changed it to Joe Exotic.
Wait, shit, I'm confused. I thought we were talking about Tiger Woods tonight.
That is Kinsley's shirt. So Joe is a gay man. He's a gay cowboy with a mullet. Nothing wrong with being gay, but he's a gay cowboy with a mullet.
Nothing wrong with a mullet.
Blonde. Always has a gun on. Some of his few things that Joe has done: he's a magician, a country music singer, a politician, an actor, a preacher, a zoo owner, a tiger trainer, an EMT, which we will get into, a police chief, which he mentioned once during the documentary, and the mayor of his own village. Is there anything else you guys would like to add to that list of the guy can do?
So he does it all. Salesman.
He's a salesman. You can buy lube, underwear, condoms in his gift shop.
And barbecue sauce.
And
Barbecue sauce.
An expired pizza.
Yeah.
So where do you guys want to start with this one? Because once we go down the rabbit hole, we're stuck in the rabbit hole for a while.
I was rewatching this, and just a couple hours ago, and I thought that to myself, like, I don't even know I don't know where we start, how we even get into this. It's such a freak show.
All of it.
Yeah.
So episode 1 is just starts right out with, here's this zoo in Oklahoma. The guy has about 227 tigers, I believe, on property.
Yep.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Which really doesn't make sense. Who owns 220 tigers or whatever it is?
None of it
Joe
makes
Exotic.
sense. Why are you trying to rationalize this?
Yeah.
True.
The quicker you understand that none of this makes any sense, the better off you are.
Yes.
And Joe, from what I gathered, I actually watched a separate interview with Rick Kirkman, he's the director of he's part of the documentary. So Rick was looking to do a documentary on something, I guess was in Colorado. And Joe contacted him and said, can you come down? I want to do, because he had the Joe Exotic TV that he was filming. Yeah. And they said at the time in the documentary, he'd have like 80 viewers. And they said that was actually exaggerated. But so he asked Rick to come down and talk to him. And Rick said, as soon as I met this guy, I'm like, this is my retirement. I'm going to film this. Yeah. I'm going to sell it for $1 million and I'm going to retire. And he said, Joe was like, yeah, do that. Make me famous. So, he asked Joe to sign a contract, which we'll also get into that eventually. But basically the contract stated, he told Joe, like, I will do this. I will do your TV show if you let me basically have a camera behind that camera filming day to day in the reality TV show and making my own reality TV show on top of this. And he was all for it.
Yep.
And
he just wanted to be in the center of it.
Oh, that's the guy's got like an ego like you would not believe. Actually, I do believe right now, but
yeah, happy.
You talk two straight guys into being gay.
Wait, so one of my buddies, he used to work for a TV station in Oklahoma, he actually interviewed him, and I was trying to find the interview, and I couldn't find it, and I didn't have time to message him. He interviewed him when he was running for governor.
Oh my
of Oklahoma.
gosh.
But I couldn't find it, and I didn't have a chance to send him a message to see if he had anything. But yeah, he actually interviewed him when he was running for governor.
Try to get that so we can see it.
All right. Yeah, I'll see if he's got the video of it. Because as soon as this came out, he actually posted. He's like, I remember when I interviewed this guy in, what was it, like 2015 or 16, 17, whatever it was.
Yeah,
that he ran for governor. Yeah. So he actually interviewed him.
Now, Marcus, you still have how many episodes left?
2.
You've seen enough, though, to know how much of a train wreck this is.
Oh, it's terrible.
Well, the one thing Kyle and I realized, because we started watching the first couple episodes again, is the guy, I don't even know his name, who was doing the documentary itself.
Rick Kirkman.
No. He was the producer, the other guy.
Eric Good.
So when Eric started this, he was strictly looking at like people that owned exotic big cats because it's not normal, and the cops were showing footage of when that lion or tiger got loose in that like residential neighborhood and they were trying to get it.
It was in Ohio.
So he
Russ
backwards into this because here he thought he was going to be interviewing like Joe Exotic because it happened in Oklahoma, whatever. And then he got told about Carol Baskins and Doc Antle, and it kind of just escalated from there. I think it turned into way more than he ever anticipated.
That bitch Carol Baskins.
This turning into.
Russ, was Zanesville? Is that where? That's where Brad's from, right?
Yeah, that's where Leanne, Chris's wife, is originally from.
Okay.
So Brad, the guy that went to Myrtle Beach with us, that's where he lives.
Yeah, the guy like lost his shit and like just
opened up his pens and all the.
Yeah, I actually wrote it down.
He had like 50 tigers, lions,
50
bears,
jaguars, lions, tigers, 18 tigers, 3 mountain lions, a baboon, and bears. He also had bears he let loose.
And he just got sick of it or something and just like opened the gate and unleashed them all in the town.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I heard Zanesville, I was like, wait, isn't that maybe Brad did? Maybe he used his coroner profession
to tigers.
To make sure the tigers
see how they
dead.
Died.
In some of that footage, you could hear like the gunshots on the radio, letting loose on those things.
Yeah. So early on in this thing, there were three main players, if you will. So you obviously got Joe Exotic, we talked about. He ran the Greater Wynnewood Zoo in Wynnewood, Oklahoma. And then we've got Dr. Bhagavan Antle, who ran Myrtle Beach Safari. Nailed that name, by the way.
Bhagavan.
And then there was Carol Baskins, who Allie's making an appearance as her.
That bitch Carol Baskins.
She ran the Big Cat Rescue in Tampa, Florida.
Yes.
So you had Joe and Doc Antle running these zoos that were basically attractions to bring people in, make money. And then you had Carol, who claimed she was doing the opposite, trying to save the cats from those situations.
Mm-hmm.
Yet she's running her own place, selling tickets with tigers in cages.
It costs $36 to get into her facility. I looked it up.
36?
$36.
Yeah.
Where when you go to Doc Antle's, it costs what, $337 per person?
Yeah, it was hundreds of dollars.
Oh,
yeah.
The cheap end.
Russ, if it didn't close, I wish we would have went in Myrtle.
I looked that place up in Myrtle, and I bet it was less than a half mile from Legends where we played golf.
Oh, really?
It was off 501, and it was extremely close.
So what are we doing in May?
Yeah, we can go there.
Dude, it might have been when we were out in the back holes there. It might have been a little pitching wedge away.
No, it was not. I looked it up.
You mean the Tiger Warrior hurt was not Adam's drive?
Yeah, maybe one of his drives. It was way out in the woods. But.
So, getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, what I thought was really interesting is when they kind of went back into like Carol's beginning with her rich husband, Don, that's missing. When he was still alive, when they started this, he was breeding animals. Like he was getting wild animals and he was breeding them. When Joe first started, Joe was rescuing them. He wasn't into breeding yet. And it's like they almost both took a 180 in what they were doing. And now she's like all against it when that's how she started. She started by being with her one husband and they were breeding these animals.
Yeah. It was interesting watching this a second time because the very first episode, I've got 2 quotes written down from Carol that just make no sense.
From episode 1?
From episode 1.
Oh, boy.
Yep. And again, she's claiming to save these cats from these zoos and put them in this sanctuary. She said, early on, she said, if there's one thing I know for sure, it's that big cats don't belong in cages. Okay. But yet she has a zoo holding these cats in cages and selling tickets to come in and see them.
But she's rescuing them.
Yeah. And then like a few minutes later in episode 1, she said, the reason we have cats in cages is to provide them a safe place to live until they die.
Yeah.
I mean, those 2 quotes don't line up at all to me, especially for a woman who's
In her cages.
Shit.
If I went off just the footage you see, Joe's cages looked actually like legit and sturdy. And she looked like she had chicken wire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't feel safe walking through that place.
I saw something that she like went off and bashed Netflix for producing and kind of insinuating certain things that she's actually not doing.
Or is done.
But either way, no matter how you look at those cages, they look 100 times worse than Joe's did. And
the footage that Joe had when they went to her big cat rescue, how overgrown the weeds were and everything, it was awful. It doesn't look livable for those animals at all.
Yep.
Hey, it's a jungle.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was John Reinke, who was the general manager of Joe's Zoo. He's a guy that had the 2 like prosthetic legs. He said he's been to Carol's place a couple times.
I'm glad you put the animation there for us.
International sign for legs. He said that he's been there a couple times, and she claims to have like all these cats. He said she had 12.
Yeah.
And that was outside the documentary, an interview we did. He said she had 12. He goes, we counted 12 cats. He said, but she's extremely backed by like sponsorships. She's a not-for-profit. So like Jaguar of Florida, the car dealership sponsors her and just backs the shit out of her.
So the other thing I was going to say, we were talking about the money and the price of the tickets. So her tickets are $36, where Doc Antle's are $337. So Doc Antle's only paying each employee $100 a week. I don't know what Joe's charging to get in, but he's doing $150 a week. All of Carol's employees are volunteers.
Free volunteers.
She pays nobody, and I'm pretty sure because she has a rescue that she gets money from the government through different grants and stuff because it's a rescue. So she's making money that way, making money people coming in and not paying a damn person.
Yeah, but you can rank up to a blue shirt.
That's right.
5 years or whatever it is.
You gotta be there for a few years to get those shirts.
But I got my blue shirt.
That Doc Antle guy kind of threw me off a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
With his 3 wives.
Yeah, it kind of gave me like an R. Kelly kind of vibe.
I think he was the
some
most
kind of cult.
Yeah, he was the most egotistical, full of himself person on the show, I thought.
Yeah.
So I was telling Ross before you guys got on that I watched an interview he did with some guy, and he claims that he had no idea that they were this Eric Good was gonna do a entire documentary, include it with Carol Baskins and Joe, and like put it all together. He did some filming over the course of 2 years, and he said over that time they probably asked me 900 questions, and every once in a while they'd sprinkle one in about Joe or Carol, and I'd answer it. I just whatever. He goes, well, most of the time I told him like I really don't want. He goes, on camera I told him most of the time like I don't really associate with that, and like I don't want to get involved in that. And then once in a while he'd answer a question, and that's they recorded and used for the film, and basically included him in this documentary as one of these zoo owners. And that's why he's pissed off, because I read the other day that he was mad. He didn't know he was in the documentary, so he was pissed he was in it. And at first I'm like, why are you pissed off? Like, didn't you know they were filming this for Netflix?
Right.
But I
Yeah.
also don't think they were filming for Netflix. I think they were filming for a TV series they were going to try to sell to a network. Because if you look, most of the episodes are like under an hour. So they probably had it built in there when the guy did the editing for like commercials and stuff.
Yeah, they're all like 45 minutes, 44
Yeah.
minutes,
Yeah.
somewhere in there. So the other guy, and I didn't write his name down. The guy in Miami.
Mario
I got it.
Tabro.
Yeah.
Mario
Tabro.
Tabro.
So that guy.
He was like a drug lord or something, and then
Yeah.
he exotic animals.
How
When they
about
threw
that guy
him in there-
casually just mentioning that he was supposed to do 100 years in prison? He's like,
Yeah.
I won my
That's
appeal. I did 12.
Yeah.
yeah. For being one of the biggest drug kingpins in the country and murdering a federal ATF agent.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And he did 12 years.
And he claims he didn't do it, but he said, what's the point of arguing with it because I was there?
You're right.
Yeah, Judge, I didn't run the circular saw. Somebody else did. He goes, they don't care. I was there.
So it sounds like he was legitimately part of the inspiration for the movie Scarface.
That's what they
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, because
It's a great movie too.
I haven't, don't they have tigers and shit in Scarface?
I guess I can't 100% say
This
yes.
is a horrible time to admit this, but I've never seen Scarface.
Oh, that's a good one.
I've only seen bits and pieces, so I'm with
It's
you.
long. It's
We
like
have time to
three and a half
watch it.
hours.
Yeah, we got time. We're all locked
Yeah.
in. So
That's a good movie. That's a good watch.
everyone's making a big deal about John Jones's house arrest for 4 days. We've been here for 2 weeks. Anyway, I digress. So, moving on. They talked about how much it costs to feed these tigers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doc Antle said it cost me $10,000 a year to feed each tiger.
Per tiger. Yep.
Mhm.
And I don't think he has as many tigers, but Joe said he can feed a tiger $3,000 a year. He's got 227 tigers. So let's talk about how they actually feed the tigers and the employees.
Sure. He's got that Walmart
Walmart
setup,
truck.
that Walmart hookup.
Yeah. And people
Yeah.
eat the pizza.
Oh,
Don't go
yeah.
there
dude.
yet. Don't go there yet.
That's a whole nother. We'll get into that a little later, Allie.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
I've got a question regarding that. But yeah, so basically they first show these trailers of dead cows that they bring in. He says he has some agreement with a local farm where they bring them 5 to 7 cows a day. And they showed them butchering some of those cows and then taking like the quarters out into where the tigers' cages are. I looked at those cows. They looked like famished cows that hadn't been fed in a year and had no meat on them.
Right.
So I don't know what the tigers were really eating there.
Well, in
And then,
honor of this tonight, I had a steak, so it wasn't raw though.
Was it 2 days expired?
Close.
Yeah, so
Did
then
anybody
they
else
show,
notice that Marcus's wheels are spinning? He's got something to say.
I got nothing to say right now. I want to get to one question, but I'm going to wait till the perfect time to ask it.
He's,
Okay.
he's here for
just-
one thing.
He's just like sitting back with the shadows covering his face.
Yeah.
He looks
I've been
Scarface.
looking at my screen, and I mean, you can't even see my face. I don't know what's going on there. I need a light.
So he's just gonna pop in.
Because all your lights are behind you.
So
So, yeah,
Joe is
so that-
obviously, as we learn, he's like this big into like country music. And do you guys want to get into the Carol part now? What Carol?
Sounds like Russ
the-
has got another
it
question.
was like episode 2 or 3, wasn't it? Like the whole 3.
Yeah.
We
So I
find
think
out
that's-
that Carol's first husband, who she got involved
Yeah.
with, and how she got into exotic animals, Don Lewis, is missing, but has actually been legally declared dead because it's been 5 years. And
I think-
everybody and their brother
He-
thinks that she did it.
He disappeared. He
This is
disappeared.
to me, this is the biggest mystery, the biggest point about this whole thing is, or that people are talking about, is what happened to Don Lewis. It sounds like everybody's got a theory. Is this the question
Where
you were
would-
thinking of, Marcus?
Well, it stems off this. Where was it that he supposedly went?
Costa Rica.
Yeah.
So he's definitely in Costa Rica for sure. And
Yeah, but why would he leave without all of his money?
But those
he didn't leave
agents
without
said-
all his money.
There's that one, the one investigator said that he and the agents went to Costa Rica and did their investigation down there, and nothing turned up.
I thought they said he was
Down there.
gonna. I thought that the one guy they interviewed, he said that Don actually asked him to go to Costa Rica, and he was like, I don't know if it's a good idea now, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think he actually went.
Yeah, but why? My question to Marcus is, if you went to Costa Rica and you just planned on disappearing, why would you disappear without all your money?
He's got his
Or at least
money.
some of it.
Carol
No,
got
he
it.
doesn't.
Carol's
has
got
it
it all.
all.
He's
Okay,
got
this
some
is
of his
why
money.
Carol Baskins killed Don Lewis.
That bitch, Carol Baskins.
Because when they show the clip of Joe doing one of his stupid campaigns for governor, and the cat goes after his boots, and he's like, somebody sprayed something on my boots. And then it cuts to
Cologne.
Carol talking about the incident, and she has the audacity on camera to say, and she stutters, she kind of fumbles in the middle of it. If you were going to have a cat attack something, you would soak it in sardine oil.
Not cologne.
Well, Carol, how would you know that unless it's how you killed your fucking husband? One.
That's
Look
true.
at-
Two,
Look, I
a
thought you were a
separate
dentist.
incident, she wasn't talking about a human, but she was talking about thinking that Joe and Doc Antle have been killing their big cats and how it'd be hard to dispose of them when they're 700
yeah.
to 900 pounds. And she makes a comment about having to
Quarter it up.
part the cat to be able to get rid of it.
Yep. Yeah.
All of these
I-
things to me indicate that she killed her husband.
We could run through some of the theories that they talk about, but at the end, I believe I 100% know where Don Lewis is.
Dude,
So
that's a
I
bold,
want to
Indian
get
Hill.
statement.
I want to get everybody's guess though.
He's dead. My guess is he's dead, and the reason I say he's dead is, she killed him. Is she got into? First of all, she accused his assistant of doing it, which I don't think is possible. She was like a tiny little girl, but she had access, and she was actually like the power of attorney for his wills. But Carol got in and got the wills altered. Who would ever write a will that says upon my death or disappearance?
I've got that written down here too.
Hey, we just did a will, and
I didn't know it
disappearance
said
wasn't
that.
on there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I didn't know it said that. Now I think he's dead. This is my question. So this is my question that I've been wanting to ask is, I keep seeing that this case is reopened. Is that real, or is that just?
No, it's real. I don't think they actually ever closed it, but I think they've put another focus on it and
Because of
said,
all this.
and said, 'cause
Yeah.
so many people
Okay.
reached out and said, if you have
Okay.
information, reach out to us.
The other reason I think there's something malicious that happened is because the way Carol went about making sure his 2 or 3 daughters and ex-wife got like nothing. She was able to redistribute everything and they got nothing.
Yeah.
Had he disappeared, why would she have been going through and moving everything around in like a secretive way?
Yep.
She may
And-
not have had
Yeah.
her hands in it and her hands didn't get dirty. She was behind it in some fashion.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
the day that he disappeared, I forget what the time was. It was like 3 a.m. She left her place to go get food.
Food for the tigers.
Yes.
Who
Yeah.
go gets food at 3 a.m?
For tigers.
You're right.
Carol
Tigers
Baskin.
are hungry. We get some Cheerios for them.
No.
Okay, Russ, what's your theory? I want to hear your
Yeah.
theory.
All right. So during the show, they obviously made a big deal about feeding him to the tigers and being buried under that septic tank.
Oh,
They
yes.
focused on those two. The one thing that I picked up on the second time, and I ran through the scenario in my head, they were interviewing Don's lawyer.
Yes.
So they showed a couple scenes of that
Yep.
lawyer in his office, and he was like the only guy on the show that actually, I don't know, had his shit together mentally, in
Yes.
my opinion.
Mhm.
He said, so Don owned multiple small airplanes, like turboprop airplanes.
Mm-hmm.
He said at this time, Don was going to meet somebody to buy another airplane, looking to buying another airplane.
Yep.
They found his van at the airport, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So here's what I think happened. Carol figured out who this person was selling the airplane, and then basically turned into another murder for hire. She paid the guy who owned the airplane. He drove to the airport, met the guy. They go up in the airplane to test this airplane.
Pushes him out.
They're in Florida. They go out over the ocean, and Don Lewis takes a dive out of the airplane without a parachute, and he's now in the ocean dead.
Was that talked about too?
There was something his lawyer mentioned about had a
lo-
plane crashed in the ocean or something like that. We never would have found him because how big the ocean is. His lawyer
Right.
said
Yep.
something
Yep.
along those lines at some point.
Yep. He hinted something about Don going to look at this plane and something happening up in the air and him, some sort of a fight up in the air. That was a rumor. So
Yeah.
I think Carol found out who was selling this airplane,
And did her own murder for hire.
hired him. Don drove to the airport in the van, which is why his van was still at the airport.
Mm-hmm.
They go up in the airplane, and Don gets shoved out of that airplane somehow.
Russ, give those
Yeah.
investigators a call. Tell them you have a idea.
Yes.
Right after he answers that email from last week where he has to like fix all the playoffs for sports.
Yeah, that's true. I'm still working on that one.
No, that's a
So I
good one, Russ.
believe-
And I do remember his lawyer
Yeah.
saying that had something happened above the ocean or in the ocean, we'd never find him.
Yep.
So
Murder for
Marcus, now
hire.
that you know the whole Will situation, what do you think happened to him?
I still think he's living in Costa Rica, living his best life, golfing, drinking, chewing.
You had that kind of money. Shut up. You had that kind of money. You would not leave and take none of it with you. That wouldn't
How do you know he
happen.
didn't
was
take it with
used
him?
to a certain level of life.
They said she claimed the money like because the law is 5 years. After 5 years, they declare you dead. And
Yep.
it was like the day after, like she instantly like did the claim for the insurance company and for the money. So she collected a shitload of money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but what? And they didn't. I don't think they said how much he was actually worth. But
They
I remember his
estimated
lawyer.
between
His
five and-
lawyer said like, yeah, 5 to
Between
10,
five
something
and
like
5
that.
to 10.
Yeah.
I mean,
They
if
said
he
nobody.
took,
They said nobody knew because he had cash and gold bars and everything buried on his property, so
Yes,
nobody
his one friend that
ever
would work
knew
for him said that.
exactly what he
Yeah.
had. Yeah.
Mhm.
So you don't
I mean-
think that he has money in Costa Rica if he's burying cash on his
No.
property?
Marcus has a point.
No.
No,
I'm not.
hold on.
Yeah, I'm not
Marcus has a
disagreeing
good
with
point
Marcus.
because he made multiple trips to Costa Rica.
yeah,
I didn't think about this. He made multiple trips to Costa Rica and he would go down there, she said, like once a month.
You guys are forgetting that they were all saying he was going to divorce her.
hey
Things were
Carol,
bad, and he had mentioned divorce, and he had mentioned divorce to his daughters and his ex-wife. Shit was bad. Carol was
think
going
if
to
he
have no
divorced-
money.
And then there was a claim that
She was behind killing him some way.
wasn't there a file reported to get an order of protection from her? From him to
Yes.
get her like
Yeah.
yeah,
I think
So,
he had
yeah,
a copy
he
of
did-
it. He never submitted or something. He gave it to one of his daughters or something, and
Something. There was a copy. Yes, he had filled
there
it
was
out.
like a letter in there
yeah.
saying if I
It
ever
was
go
to
missing.
his. Yeah, it was to his secretary, right?
I thought it was denied. Because there was no evidence of actual abuse, just the threat of abuse, and you can't prove it, and therefore it was denied.
Right, but isn't that what he put in that envelope to his assistant?
Could be. Yeah,
I
because
think
she had
though,
a
if he
copy of it.
divorces her, then she gets all of his money.
Half.
No, she'd get half, but
Half.
they never mentioned if there was a prenup involved there. They never mentioned that because if you remember, he was married, she was married. I think she was prostituting it up, walking down the side of a road. He picks her up in his truck randomly one night, and they were magically together after that and divorced their respective spouses.
Which, by the way, not mentioned in the documentary, but I heard in an interview from, hold on, John Ranke, the guy with the legs.
Yep.
John said that He's like, yeah, I've heard all the rumors that she probably killed her husband. He said she had a prior husband who also came up missing. Same thing.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Wasn't she was really young when she married Don, right?
Yeah.
Because she was already married. She had, didn't she have kids with the other guy or no?
I don't know.
She was married to though when she met him randomly that night.
She's probably
Oh,
get
she
pretty
had a
mad.
dog.
She has kids and like bites the husband's head off and shit.
Black Widow.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had a daughter with the first husband because she was
Oh yeah, she was in the documentary.
interviewed. Yeah,
Yes.
she was interviewed in the documentary.
Yeah. So
Could you
in spite
imagine
of all
being her
this stuff,
daughter?
I feel really bad for Howard, the poor sap that like dotes on her now and believes all the shit that comes out of her mouth.
I don't. That guy's batshit crazy. I don't feel bad for him.
He's a moron.
You got to be crazy to live with Carol.
And if he doesn't think, he thinks like in his head that he's in charge, but we all know that douchebag's not in charge. Talks a big game when it comes to like the legal portion of their shit. But that guy was like, well, if you're going to do this, then I'm going to sue you. And he was like talking a big game. But he probably didn't realize they posted a picture of him wearing a cheetah outfit with a collar around his neck on his knees while Carol was holding him.
Yeah.
It wasn't agreed upon.
That was off the record.
Have we touched on your question yet, Marcus?
Yes.
We did?
The case is really reopened.
I think he's
Oh.
dead, but I'm not. I can't rule out Marcus's theory because he made multiple trips to Costa Rica that he had money there.
Yeah, if he took those
Good
gold
theory.
bars,
If there
who knows
wasn't
how much?
talk of divorce and her being abusive and him with order protection, then I'd agree with him. But because all of that fishy shit, she's behind killing him. He's dead.
Or he did all
But
that to make it look like he died.
Yeah,
and
what
he
if he's the one setting everything up?
Yeah, what if he had like $5 million in gold bars?
I don't
And he
think
took
was
those
that
and he
smart
left-
either, like in
He
that
left
way.
like $5 million for Carol. She might think that's all he had.
You know how much
So
Joe
he-
liked Carol? He shipped her snakes for her birthday. Do you guys remember that clip?
Yeah,
In
in the
mailbox,
mailbox. Yeah.
Yeah. He couldn't have taken only gold bars because this looked like it was huge on the news down south that he was missing, and then when they determined him dead. If he only took gold bars, eventually he had to go exchange that for cash.
Yep.
Somebody, I think, would have made the connection there.
Everything in
still
Costa
alive.
Rica is under the table.
I don't know if I want to know how you know that, but
You know how much expired Walmart food you could get for one gold bar?
one
Probably a
gold
few
bar
months
equals
worth.
one GW Zoo. You can have it.
He's A&W. He's alive and well, I think.
There was another interview I watched with Kirkman who said, regardless of your thoughts about Joe, he said it was actually worse than the documentary portrayed. He said there was 4 mobile homes. He lived in one of them for a year with his film crew. They were disgusting. And he said, he told a story about this lady who came to her. She brought a horse to Joe and said, Joe, I just can't take care of my horse anymore. I'm getting old. He's sick. Can you take care of him? He said, Joe, like, play up this, like, oh, yeah, we'll take care of your horse. He'll be great. We'll put him out in the pasture. Russ is cheesing like he's heard this story.
No, but I can already guess where this is going.
And the lady was like, she was so happy. He said, leave the trailer. We'll drop it off tomorrow. And Joe, being the showman, if you watch this, everything was like, get the camera, film this. She leaves. He looked at Rick and said, get the camera, start rolling. And Rick started rolling the camera, and he walked over and he shot the horse in the trailer and fed it to the tigers.
Said it. Yeah, that's free food right there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, he wasn't the best guy.
no,
Say
I
the
don't think he
least.
was. I think I told Allie the other day, I think he cared about his inner circle a lot.
Yeah.
But most of his employees, apparently he got from like the bus stop that were like,
Yeah.
down in life, no place to go, and he didn't pay him anything. But I think he cared about the animals. That was like he did care about that. And I think he cared about his close inner circle. But I think where things went south with him, and this will kind of transition where our conversation goes, where I think things went south for him was he didn't keep his mouth shut about Carol. Granted, Carol started that fight. Joe said he noticed an article that was posted about a roadside zoo in Oklahoma, and she started this whole like thing and started the pages, and he didn't keep his mouth shut about Carol, which I think where things went south for him was the lawsuit. As soon as he got sued and he lost that lawsuit, that guy was strapped for cash. He just didn't have it.
Before we go there, we skipped like one of the most interesting parts of the whole thing. I believe it was episode 1, where the one female worker we got to know gets her arm ripped off.
Yeah.
And she's back to work 7 days later.
7 days later.
I was just gonna say that, dude. That bitch is crazy.
She was one of the most like sane ones they talked to. Like, granted, she was like in a freaking dump, literally like a trash dump she was sitting in.
Yeah.
But it happened. He has his paramedic jacket on, his EMT jacket.
Yeah.
He goes into the gift shop and tells everybody, like, I'll refund your money or give you a rain check, and I am never going to financially recover from this has become one of the memes used very, very much in this whole thing. Her hand still worked. She was able to write, but they told her it was going to be 2 years of surgeries and rehab, and she said cut it off and was back to work within the week.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of people you want to hire.
She did that to protect Joe, because she even said...
What'd you say?
Those are the kind of people you want to hire.
She was doing that to protect
Dedicated.
Joe. So she must have been treated at least decently enough to want to protect him, because she felt how the media was attacking him about this with everything. But she said that he came and visited her. They came right there. So I think because it was so tragic, they did treat her well, but she was right back to work. She was a hard worker.
I'm still blown away by the fact that her arm gets ripped off, and the first clip you see of her laying on the ground is Joe in an EMT jacket.
Yeah. So he immediately changed his coat into that EMT jacket, and then the first thing he's thinking about, he's quoted saying, "I'm never going to financially recover from this." So he's worried about the money and
went
not
to the
her.
hospital to make sure he wasn't going to get sued.
The funny part of this, when we rewatched it, the first time they show her, you can see her nub. I'm like, how did we not notice it the first time? Because she's talking first for a little bit, and then it goes into her arm getting, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize the first time that they're showing her without the arm.
That was the first thing I noticed. I did notice it right away, and
the first time you watched it?
Yeah.
Oh,
I thought the guy with the legs lost his legs from the Tigers, but that's just me.
Immediately, I'm like, there has to be a story related to this coming up.
Dude, well, and that's obviously we already talked about. Like, he hired these people from like the bus stops. Like, if you're getting paid $150 a week, and you have not that it was nice or the food you were eating was good, but you had a place to sleep and you're getting $150 a week. You're working all the time. Like, good? No, I said the eating wasn't good.
Oh yeah.
But for them, if you don't have food, it's
from having no shelter to a shitty shelter and shitty food is better than nothing, I guess.
Right. Some of those guys, they might have thought that was like a mansion and some luxury 5-course meal.
It's probably true.
Well, realistically, think about it. Like, there's no guy walking in there with like 2 college degrees, a full resume going, I want to work for you, Joe.
Exactly. Like the one guy with the long blonde hair said, I found this on Craigslist and I thought, why not?
Yeah. Eric Cowie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Head zookeeper. I wrote him down in my description exactly like you just said. Long hair, found job on Craigslist.
I love his best quote in the whole thing was, hey, how many wives does Doc Antle have? I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Dude, that guy. That was one of the interviews I thought was interesting. Was the girl that they interviewed at her house in Ames, Iowa.
What I was gonna say. Let's go into living conditions at Doc Antle's place real quick before you guys go into the whole
Barbara Fisher
thing. So, Barbara, I was happy they interviewed her because she could be really honest with how everything was, because she no longer worked there. Because when you see Doc Antle's place, when they went there, it looks very extravagant and lavish. And I think his 3 wives they did show us, I think they might have nice places to stay. But Barbara, whose name was Bala when she was there, her name was legally changed to that while she was there.
They have nice places if they sleep with him.
If they sleep with him. Yeah. She even said she was living in a horse stall that had a gate she could close. And she'd go to make a sandwich. There'd be cockroaches on her bread she'd have to push off before she continued making her sandwich. So I think the other people that we didn't talk to at Doc Angel's place, they probably live in shitty conditions too. But it's like 3 wives because they're doing something for him, live in a nice place because they have their own houses right on Doc Angel's property.
Yeah.
Each wife had their own house.
Yeah, when he drove by, and those houses look pretty nice.
Yeah, so I'm thinking the other people that work the crazy hours too, but aren't sleeping with him, they must live in a horse stable somewhere too.
I mean, if I had to get a house like that, you might as well sleep with them.
What are you saying, Adam?
$20 is $20.
Yeah, I'm not gay, but $20 is $20.
Bala should have slept with them. That's what I'm saying.
Tight tiger shirt.
She did get breast implants.
Yes.
That's true. She didn't want them, though.
She said she didn't agree to it, but I gave her a couple days off of work because they are working from 8 o'clock in the morning till midnight every day from what his one wife said.
Yeah, that's what the one girl said.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, but
Right,
if she slept with him, then she would be chopping wood in Ames, Iowa.
True.
So here's my other theory is all these I should say all these workers, but we'll use this girl for example. If she's working 8 in the morning till midnight or whenever she was working till, living in this shitty situation and making what, $100 a week or $150 a
It
week?
was like $100.
$100.
I don't know, lady. Go fucking do something else.
I agree.
Yeah.
I tell you where you
can tell you.
I think Marcus could tell her a really good place to go if you got yourself a fresh pair of tits. I mean, it'll
I'll
help you
work at
pay,
McHale's.
make some
It's
money.
only open 5 hours a night if you go down to McHale's. Make a lot more than $100. I'll pay you more than $100.
That's what I'm thinking. You could go work 10-hour shifts at McDonald's and make a hell of a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she was leading the yoga vegetarian life that she wanted. She was a hippie, hippie, crazy ass. So
I forgot about that part.
yeah.
They're doing tiger yoga apparently.
To train the animals.
That's a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I wrote down a couple like comparisons. Doc Antle looked like a fat version of Goldmember from like Austin Powers.
With longer hair, yeah.
The one that would eat his own skin and shit.
Yeah. Rick Kirkman, the director, he looked like Crocodile Dundee and Freddy Krueger had a kid.
Oh, those are good.
So let's talk about how Joe had. Apparently, Kirkman says that Joe physically cried into his shoulder, and didn't know what he actually was, if he was gay or not. But let's talk about how many husbands Joe had, which I'm going to preface, which I've later found out. Joe, John Finley, the guy with like the summer teeth, he said they were actually never legally
Some
married.
or none?
Some were here, but there was none here.
Some or none? Ellie, that guy chewed way too much.
From the story I read, he was clean for 6 years and he had a congenital disease from what the story said.
Yeah, where
now
he
has
has dentures.
From. He looked much better and he had that in the Netflix documentary and they did not put it in. It didn't fit their storyline.
They filmed that.
Yeah.
So yeah, every like young kid that would like come in there, Joe was like converting them to be his husband.
Because he was buying them shit. That's why they agreed to it.
Again, like Doc Antle.
They bought him. He bought them meth. He bought them trucks. He bought them like ATV shit. Like they lived in this hellhole, but they had fun toys to play with. I guess I don't know.
How shitty does your childhood have to be to actually go and do that stuff?
Yeah,
dude, that's what.
Take a wiener to get a few shotguns in a 4-wheeler.
Yeah, like just go get a job and buy them yourself, man. Like,
dude, that's what I don't get. Like, obviously that Barbara girl, like she said when she was 18, she made her dad take her there, and then
her dad said, "Don't fall in love with your boss."
Right. And then there was that kid
yeah.
that Joe's boyfriend, the like 18-year-old skater kid from California, like
Trevor.
Oh, Travis.
Travis.
Yeah, there's got to be something wrong
One
with
that dies, and then Joe talks about his balls in front of his mother at his funeral.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That was,
I mean,
While
there's gotta be
wearing his
something
preacher
wrong.
outfit.
He
Don't
compares his
don't
balls
forget.
to golden nuggets or something like
Yeah.
that, I
He
believe.
had his black and white collar on while he did the ceremony. And then he sang one of his own country songs.
It actually
Hey.
isn't him.
Yeah, he doesn't actually sing those. He lip syncs those. They're written and sung by somebody else.
Yeah, that's the other thing that kind of threw me for a loop is the whole country singing. So you say he went wrong when he called out Carol Baskins, but he definitely went wrong as soon as he picked up any piece of guitar or whatever the hell. Did he even play guitar or did he just sing?
No, he can't even sing. Like the
He
songs.
went out like this.
Apparently, they were all lip sync. Apparently, it was two guys from Washington. You can look up their names. He hired them or he asked them to do like a theme song for his TV show. Because I got a TV show and a big mouth. But he hired these guys to write these songs, and they would do them and send them to him. And then they found out that he was just like making videos of him like singing their songs, and it wasn't even
Standing
them.
on top of cars.
Yeah, you're kitty kitty.
That's the best one where he has someone playing Carol feeding the cats and he's singing about her. But
yeah.
so I understand where you're saying he kind of went off the deep end once Carol sued him and he lost a lawsuit. But I can't remember if it was in that or some. I've watched a couple other clips of things. Somebody said that when his brother passed away, I believe it was like in 97.
Hit by a drunk driver.
That's kind of when he went crazy. From like any normal he was before, that kind of sent him more into being the over dramatic version of himself, I guess. And that's when he kind of went off the deep end. So then I think he was already crazy. And then when he lost the stuff with Carol and then his place got into financial ruin, basically, because he's owing her what was it, like
$1 million.
$1 million or whatever.
It was $1 million. Yeah.
I think that's when it went really bad. But I think he was close to his brother. When his brother died, that changed him from the stories that I was reading.
I think the tipping point where his hatred for Carol was like he had the article. I think he was like, whatever.
He was obsessed with her.
But he became obsessed with her because of he was doing the mall shows with the animals. And then she was like writing emails to the malls and getting people to write emails. And eventually
Where he couldn't do it anymore.
he couldn't do it anymore. And that was a lot of money for him.
Because John Finley said they could go and make $10,000. They can make for $40,000 with each mall show, depending on how busy the mall was that day.
Yeah.
So really, Joe killed Don Lewis.
That's a new theory.
Just to get Carol in trouble.
Yes.
Not tell anybody for 20 years. Yeah. He's not that smart.
Then I thought it was like at the end. I don't know. It was episode 6 or 7. They talked about Doc Antle, how he killed his tigers.
Yes.
Put him in the gas chamber.
Well, and they
It was like at
interviewed the
very
girl.
end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They interviewed
Like
the girl.
very
She
end of
said that she had a tiger she was close with and just came up missing.
Yeah, I saw an article or a video somewhere else, not on Netflix, and somebody that said they worked there and claimed that he had his own station for euthanizing, and then when they turned him into ashes, I can't remember the word.
Cremate?
Yeah, his own cremation chamber there, so he could basically euthanize and cremate these tigers and then just spread the ashes. Yeah, because that was one thing interesting that Carol did mention early on was these guys like Joe take the cubs, and then when the people come into the zoo, they pay to have this playtime with a small cub, but that's only good up until like 12 weeks.
Yep.
Once they hit like 6 months, 9 months, they weigh as much as 200 pounds. So they've got this profit area until they're 12 weeks old. And somebody in there said
after they age out of that 12 to 16 week period, all they are is a food bill.
They're just a bill.
That was the guy that owned the other
Tim
Stark. Tim Stark, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
He said always had the monkey.
You can't keep them. They're just a bill.
Yeah, didn't they say like in the first 4 months, like up to whatever 12 weeks or 16 weeks, whatever it was, you can make like 150 grand off them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. And then they said they could live anywhere from like 5 to 40 years. So
yeah.
if you're
Well,
breeding,
especially Doc Antle could make that much because he just to get into his place, he charges on a low end $337. That day he said somebody paid $620 or $655
$655.
to get into his park that day.
And then it cuts to the scene where the guy's there with his wife and his daughter. He's like, "This is the second time this week. My third time I've been here."
Yeah.
yeah,
Like Kyle said, he
Oh,
goes,
Looney
for
Tunes.
them three to go, it's $1,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy's
And then-
he's
Twice.
nuts.
and they did it twice that week.
Yeah.
I'm about to get some tigers.
You start doing some cub petting.
So we haven't gotten to
Yeah.
this character yet. Jeff. I don't remember his last name, but I
Lowe.
believe one of Jeff's quotes was, "A little pussy gets you a lot of pussy."
Jeff
Marcus.
Lowe.
So
Why do you have to put my name at the end of that?
you wanted a tiger.
Hey, you just
said
gotta
it.
get a little one. You just gotta get a little one.
A baby tiger gets you a lot of pussy. Is what he said.
Okay, well, I'm gonna get a couple of them
I'm gonna get a couple. They're not expensive. They're only like $2,000.
That's it.
We almost paid his
Can
money
I
for
breed
it.
them though? You're
Yeah,
not
my
allowed to
dogs
breed
almost
them
cost that
anymore?
much. You can get a couple tigers.
They'll fit in that room you're in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
For about 12 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then
That's
we'll
gonna become a
send
problem.
Them off to, we'll send them to the rescue place, Carol Baskins.
That bitch, Carol Baskins. So Joe's husband's I've actually watched. There's a 23-minute video on YouTube. You can watch it of the wedding or leading up to the wedding. They were never legally married to the two guys, and he actually tells the people where he buys like the shirts and the jeans from a clothing store in Oklahoma.
Like a Tractor Supply like store.
I've never been to like Oklahoma, but this is basically like your cowboy boots, your belts, your shirts, your jeans kind of store. He tells them while he's paying for them, well, if you guys are free Saturday, you can come on down to the dance hall. He says, we're just getting married. It's for a TV show. So they were never actually legally married, but there's a whole video out there of it. And in a documentary, they show the video. And it was disturbing, not because I'm against you being gay, but it's like, it was extremely awkward. Like I rewatched it and I'm like, Trevor looks like he doesn't even want to be there. Travis. You just tell it was like, he was like, what am I doing here? Like, why? I'm marrying a,
He's getting math. Basically,
and he's got his mom
Yeah.
shows up. And I'm like, this is extremely awkward. His mother just walking on the aisle. I guarantee you that kid's mother never anticipated walking her son down the aisle for a 3-man gay wedding in front of 25 people at a dance hall in Oklahoma.
Hey, it was yeah, but it was to the Tiger King.
Right.
What
One of them was the Tiger King.
One thing, Joe, that friggin' eyebrow ring. How did that thing not fall out?
I know, it was barely in there.
Looked like a clip-on.
Yeah.
It did.
It was like Adam's tie from last show.
Oh man.
Oh, when you were picking on John Finley's teeth, the other theory of how they got knocked out, did you read this?
I did not.
Was those padlocks that Joe would hook to his piercing?
His Prince Charles?
That's how they think some of his teeth got knocked out too.
Albert.
Oh Jesus.
Prince
All
Albert.
right.
Prince Albert.
So
Fuck Prince
think
Charles.
about that.
No, thank you.
All right, so let's go into like where things get really south, where Jeff Lowe comes in.
Yep.
And what happens to GW Zoo?
Is this in the episodes I haven't watched?
Oh, wait, yeah.
Hold on.
She has a good story about
I have
Jeff
a good
Lowe.
story about Jeff Lowe. So in high school, my librarian at the time.
Oh, this is like a
This is a real story.
inspirational.
Real story.
She's from Oklahoma. And after I graduated, she moved back there. Well, after we had started watching all this stuff, she posted on Facebook
like a week ago. Not even a week ago.
No, whenever we were watching it, that she had been there when Jeff was there, and she has pictures of like some of the animals, and Jeff's the one like feeding them stuff or playing. Like one was like an anteater, one was like a monkey. He was like giving a monkey a popsicle, but she has pictures of him. He's wearing the same clothes that he wore in the documentary. The man has no other clothes.
Jeans, black shirt,
That stupid
No
ass
shit.
bandana with a hat.
Affliction t-shirt, jean jacket,
Yeah.
bandana, and hat.
Oh,
Oakley
well,
hat.
Joe's just got like 8 different shirts. He wears the same pants.
Sequin shirts. It looks like he's
I was
like,
gonna wear my cutoff shirt tonight, but
it was like the Joe shirts were like, I'm going to the club, but I still need to watch my Tigers first. Shirts.
So Joe came into the situation when Carol had all the lawsuits against. Excuse me, Jeff came into the situation when Carol had all the lawsuits against Joe Exotic. So what they did was they changed the name of the zoo and basically transferred ownership to Jeff Lowe.
Yep.
Which in turn ended those lawsuits. If she wanted to continue the lawsuit, she had to restart the entire process against Jeff Lowe. One of the things that they added after Jeff Lowe took over was the pizza shop at the zoo.
Whole new
where
building.
they clearly, well, yeah. And they made it very clear that the meats that were used on the pizza came from the Walmart food truck.
Oh my
I don't
God.
think we can explain that. So they said earlier, in order to feed the tigers cheaply, they would go to Walmart. And basically what Joe Exotic claims was if you or I picked up a couple steaks, took them to the cash register, and our card got declined, that they were not allowed to put the steak back into the cooler.
Right.
It was then considered, tampered or whatever. So
Yeah.
that all basically went into the trash.
Use
So
that,
Joe
huh?
clearly had a deal with his local Oklahoma Walmart. Sorry, Ellie just texted me the picture of. Yeah, that's the exact outfit he wore in the show. Definitely right.
Hold it up
My
to
goodness.
the screen.
Do you have
here.
Marcus? Do you have their
I
numbers?
don't know why I have Marcus's number. I think I have Adam's for them.
You gotta
Yeah,
send
she's
them
got
this
mine.
picture.
Oh,
There it is. Yeah, there it is.
That's it. Yeah.
So they made it clear that the pizza was being made with ingredients from this disgusting Walmart leftover meat truck. You got to watch. If anyone watching this podcast, if you haven't watched this, you need to go see this disgusting Walmart truck to understand how gross this is. So
the worst part was the employees were taking food out of there first.
yeah,
Better than the bus
I
stop.
don't know.
That's true. What I don't understand, like Russ, you just said, he claimed it was people buying steaks and then not being able to pay for them. I don't know how often he got trucks. There's no way that much meat gets to the register and not purchased.
No,
There's no damn way.
that's clearly just his excuse or example to make it sound like the meat was
It
still
wasn't that
good.
bad.
Yeah.
Right.
It had to have been stuff that was expired and was.
It was like a
clearly
day or two
trash.
expired. They take it off the shelf. Yeah.
Yeah. Which,
If
if you're feeding it to the Tigers, I don't think the Tigers give a shit. If you're feeding it to your employees and putting it on pizza for your customers to buy, that's disgusting.
Yes.
If
Customers don't know, though.
you zoomed in on that food, it would have had the first sale today.
Yeah. How does, like, I don't know, OSHA or the health department not show up and inspect this pizza place?
I don't want to like stereotype, but it is Oklahoma. I've never been there, but I'm just imagining like it's just a big wide open space with tornadoes and no one gives a shit what you do.
So, yeah, you're probably right. So knowing all of that, I know that I wouldn't go there and purchase pizza. I guess the question is, would any of you sit down and eat one of his pizzas if the reward was like $100?
No.
100? No way.
For 100, no. But I would eat the pizza and get sick and own the zoo. And then I would have 227 tigers.
And you know
that's
what?
a lot of pussy.
Dude, it would have to be, I don't know how much. Yeah, but think about it. Well, yeah, obviously knowing this now, but think about all the people that ate that and then watching this documentary.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Knowing,
yeah.
like, hey, I ate that.
Oh.
It's
I'm
the same with
100%.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
It's the same with after Travis killed himself, and then he hosted that like Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner for all his friends and family. Like I was thinking the same thing. Like you have no idea where that food's coming from. I would not trust an ounce of food that man made.
No.
So he's remarried now to like that Dylan Passage dude.
He's like 18 years old.
Yeah, he's like a young kid.
Yeah.
Apparently he's still together. And Travis's mother said that it was 2 months after her son died.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And he invited her out there for the wedding 2 months after her son died. So shortly after a funeral, she shows back up for a wedding. So her son's fake husband can get remarried. And they basically did pictures, and she claims it was basically a PR stunt because she's never heard from Joe again. Like he made it look like, oh well, his mom's okay with it, so it's good now.
Yeah.
And John Finley left him for a woman.
Yeah, John
and
Finley.
He's expecting a baby.
John Finley knocked up the secretary into the office, so turns out he's not gay. But neither one of them confirm or deny if they, with Joe Exotic. I'm just saying.
Dude,
there's a lot of confusion there. I'm not going on that road.
Another thing is when the building went up in flames, and then the contractor was like, "I did it for $8,000." Dude, I couldn't even get my bathroom done for $8,000.
Yeah,
let alone
you mean the rebuild?
Building.
The rebuild.
Yeah.
There's something shady there too.
Joe did that too.
Who did? Yeah, I think Joe did that. Who do you think, guys? Who do you think burnt down the building?
I'm with you guys. I think it's Joe.
Yeah, Joe, 100%.
Don Lewis.
Who?
Don Lewis.
He mysteriously had that funeral he was out of town for, and it was able to burn up all the footage that Rick hadn't backed up yet because they were in a fight about.
Because he said he basically owned everything.
He
owned Joe Exotic, basically the thing.
Rick Kirkman
brand. So Rick Kirkman, I watched an interview. He said I had stuff backed up in a safe on like hard drives. The fire was so hot it melted the safe, and he lost it.
Yeah, they interviewed the sheriff from the town there, and he said it was clearly an arson. There was an accelerant used to make that fire go up and even hotter. So, they tried to pin it on Kirkham, but like you say, that guy had his life's work in that reality show for the last year or two, and everything was in that building.
Joe was trying to blame other people, but he did it, and he killed those alligators. Granted, they were just alligators; they're still an animal, and he was all about, "Oh my God, they killed you! Did it? You killed those animals."
Couldn't even make belts or boots out of them.
Right.
Oh man. What else we got? Anything? Oh, we haven't mentioned of course, Marcus hasn't seen it yet, but we haven't mentioned the fact that Joe Exotic's in prison for murder for hire.
79 years. Because he paid
19 different counts.
Yep. He paid Alan Glover $3,000.
Alan worked for Jeff Lowe.
So when Jeff came in, Alan was his right-hand man. He brought him in. Alan didn't get along with anybody. Joe and him didn't get along. And anytime he called Jeff Lowe and said, Alan's not cooperating, he won't do anything. He says, I don't work for you. I work for Jeff. Jeff kind of sided with Alan. And then he paid him $3,000 to kill that bitch Carol Baskins. And then they thought it was going to happen because Alan left town. They didn't know where he was.
Yeah.
And
hey, Marcus, spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert, but.
Hold on. Who was the fat guy at the end with that awful bob?
Yeah.
Riding the jet ski?
That was James Garretson.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't even remember how he was connected to all this. I just know that his hair pissed me off, and he's the one that like got them to admit it on. He was wired
Text
or
message,
something or text message or whatever to help the cops.
Dude,
Yeah,
I
he
saw
worked
that
with-
meme. I saw that meme
what?
of him on the ski-doo. Before I even started watching this, I was like, "What the
I just
hell?"
wonder who's cutting hair in
Where'd they
Oklahoma.
find this guy?
It's bad.
Who's the barber in Oklahoma? Because you don't have to be good to make money.
No.
We got a gay cowboy with a mullet, and we got a businessman who's just a big liar. I don't even know what you call that. Like what?
It's a bob. It's a bob. It's a woman's hairstyle. It's a bob.
A
Who's
bowl
Bob?
cut?
No, it's longer than a bowl cut.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
So yeah, Joe Exotic, bunch of tigers, multiple husbands.
It's a train wreck. Once you
Mul-
start watching, you can't stop.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's no stopping that.
Marcus, you got an episode left?
2.
2. I think I have 2.
Get on it.
Yeah,
Well, now you're
Yeah.
now you're prepared.
You still got a lot
Yeah.
to learn.
I still think Don Lewis is alive.
You're an idiot.
Eating shark food. Pushed out of a
Ellie,
plane,
I'm
eaten
gonna-
by a shark.
Ellie, I'm gonna prove this to you somehow,
Okay.
some way.
we'll spend a lot
I'm
of
not
money
gonna
on
hold
it.
my breath. I won't speak to you for like 3 months. So
All right, does anybody have anything else to add?
Next podcast.
No.
Shout out to Russ with his gun in the background there.
That's in case that
Yeah.
bitch Carol Baskins showed up.
That's in case Carol Baskin shows up.
What do you got
hey, all
there?
you cool cats and kittens.
All right, boys. Well, let's hope sports kick off soon so we have something else to talk about other than some guy in a murder for hire that owns a bunch of tigers. If
Agreed.
you
Can
haven't
I
watched
ask
the
one more
documentary
question?
one, yeah,
Oh,
Of course.
Where is Carol Baskins now?
still in Florida.
Yeah. She still runs that
Still
place in
doing
Florida.
everything she's doing?
Yeah.
she's hanging out with the big cats,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
not tiger.
Big Cat
not
Rescue.
tiger.
Oh, by the way, Big Cat Rescue. Some guy exposed her. John Rinke exposed her and said, two or to 3 of those cats she rescued. The rest of them she bought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I read that.
Wait, who was the one that bought the snow leopard?
That was the beginning.
That's how the guy kind of got
So
on
that-
the big cat topic.
Yeah.
He was at a shop where people
Reptiles.
were buying snakes and stuff.
He was doing something on reptiles, and this guy came and bought a snake and said, "Hey, come see the snow leopard in my truck."
Yeah, then he opened the
Hot
van door.
100-degree weather.
Yeah.
And that's what got this guy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric, whatever
that
his
guy-
name was,
Good.
to do the documentary. Like,
Yeah.
why do all these people have these big cats as pets?
So that guy-
yeah, because
Yeah, that guy Marcus wasn't one of these characters. That was just the reason that Eric Good decided to go investigate this.
okay, that makes sense. Because Bree was like, why is a snow leopard in, like you said, Allie, in 103-degree heat in Florida?
Right.
Yeah.
And his claim
But-
was they're fine as long as they're
They're
raised here.
acclimated here, yeah. I think
Yeah,
it's crap,
yeah.
but
No.
All right, kids. If you haven't watched
All right.
Tiger King, everybody go watch Tiger King. Marcus,
Yep.
finish your episodes.
Make sure you
Sure do.
subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe. Adam, do your job. Let's hear it.
Hit that bell for notifications. Maybe it's
Until
on
next
here. I
time.
don't know.